What's going on, blurs, nerds, and everybody in between? It's your boy Wyatt, the sensei of the syndicate, here with another episode of With the BS. And today I am definitely coming with the BS today. So we are having a comic court. So I am putting up the argument that DC animated stories in the movies are better than the MCU live action movies. So here to kind of argue against that is one third of the things people don't say podcast. The Husky Hukage himself, Marcus. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm here to ready to get this started. It's
Okay,
gonna be good.
all right. And then we got KB here in the building. My tiny fist of fury here with the syndicate. How you doing?
Man, I got a little bit of a headache, but I could not miss this. So here we are.
There we go. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun night. We definitely want to talk about um how we like we'll give opening arguments as far as that's concerned, and then we'll be able to rebuttal about what we think and what and like some of the points that other people have made. So it's just gonna be a fun little exciting time period that we can be able to talk about these things, and hopefully everybody can enjoy that. Um so
So
I go ahead.
I got questions because you guys actually held Comic Court before I joined the squad. So I need to know, like, am I the judge because y'all are the lawyers, or how is this working?
Well, I mean, if you want to be the judge, last time I was the judge, I had a wig and everything. It was if I looked for the wig today, I was a little upset that I couldn't find it. But yeah, you could be able to be like, okay, you know what I
The
mean, or like keep us on track and on topic as far as that's concerned.
the upper management throw it away in the move.
Uh huh.
I said,
No, man, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around here. But then once like I wore it the first time, and then what happened to it? So it got all frizzy and things like that.
yeah.
So then I couldn't be able to do it as far as that's concerned. Um, so it was really crazy that I couldn't do it from there, but I was trying to. So uh, yeah, so it's somewhere around here, but you know what I mean. I don't know how to
Watch it
really.
show up. It's gonna
Yeah,
show up tomorrow or something when you don't need it.
yeah. And then the thing is, I don't know how to fix it. You know what I mean? Because like I've never dealt with wig hair, so you know what I mean. So you don't know how to
Yeah,
to do anything from that point.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So so uh if you want to, because the I last time I was just the guy who listened to all the arguments, and then what I'd like to have us do, if we get people, we can be able to have them kind of throw their 2 cents in as well. But like I'll go with my opening argument, and then after that you can be able to share yours, and we can get to it, bro.
Let's
Yeah,
go. I'm with
that's
it.
why I was wondering if I'm judged, because it was like I don't feel like it's fair for you to be able to argue and then you to be the decider. Like that seems
Oh
a little
no, no, no.
biased.
No, I mean, if anything, you were gonna be like either the judge or part of the jury to be like casting your vote on what you think as far as that's concerned. So it wasn't gonna be like, oh yeah, well, I since I'm the since I'm the host, I'm gonna be able to argue it and be able to do the thing. It wouldn't be
Right.
really be fair. So
I want
Yeah.
to. I declare mistrial. It's like
yeah. Oh
rigged.
yeah. Marcus, you bring up too many good points. I'm done. You're
Yeah.
done. You're out of here.
He gonna kick you out of the cast. Watch this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
I'm
like,
gonna
I'm gonna be like,
hold you in contempt.
yeah, I'm gonna hold you in contempt for doing this as far as that's concerned, and it's all your fault. But no, it's so what we'll do is just do that, and then see where it goes. Um, so so what I normally think when I look at how like MCU has done things and the quality of work that they have. When you look at the quality and the storyline when it comes to like the DC animated movies, um, they are, I think, way better. Like I think they have way more hits than misses. And when it comes to when you look at some of the movies, as far as in phase one, two was all right. Three is where they really hit their stride, and that was just because they were at the end of the Infinity Saga. So I feel like a lot of times, even when they didn't have those kinds of things going on, when they didn't have like that major overarching story, Justice League brought in more characters. They were able to tell a more convincing story sometimes, and I think you were just more intrigued and more brought into the stories versus sometimes what they had with the MCU. Because to me, the MCU just had too many misses. Like if you think about Thor, you think about all the Iron Man movies except for Iron Man 1, uh, you know, Thor 1, Thor 2, Ragnarok. You got lucky on that one, and then after that, next thing you got Thor: Love and Thunder, and that shit was trash. So it's just one of those things where honestly, I think everybody's just excited to see live action, and if you're being honest, that's just more computer generated stuff than anything else. There you
Okay.
go, sir.
Okay. That was your open argument.
That's gonna be my open argument.
Okay. All right. So, okay. I'm going to start off by saying the DC animated universe or animated movie universe is awesome. It really is awesome. However, I think what Marvel has done with the MCU in bringing our favorite or some of our favorite comic book characters to life, putting them on the screen, live action. Not I understand we got some CGI, some stuff in there. However, it's live action, and some of the stories that we did get, like I said, we had a few misses. However, I think the DC animated universe, or animated movie universe, has some misses as well. We'll get into that later. However, I think the Marvel MCU or the MCU is better than what DC animated universe has done, and I'm gonna put my stake on that today.
Okay. So one of the things that I looked at as far as that's concerned was just going through some of how they started, um, and things like that. So I'm not gonna go back all the way to Batman, the Mask of the Phantasm. I'm not gonna do, you know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it kind of early 2000s from there. So like if you look at it, you had stuff like, the Superman Doomsday. You had Wonder Woman even before it was thought about as a live action one. The ones where they had even just standalone series or like things like that with the Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. You had people being brought in, and I can't even forget how they had Batman under the Red Hood. They had a bunch of those. Like they had the one with Justice League Doom. They had the Dark Knight Returns. All those that weren't even in a major storyline, but were really great ones that you can actually be able to watch even to this day. And I remember you talking to me about you watching Batman Under the Red Hood, and I think
It's one of my
honestly,
it's one of my favorites. It is.
yeah, and honestly, I think that like when it comes to that, there's I don't think Red Hood would be as popular as he is if it wasn't for Batman Under the Red Hood. I think there would have been some people that would have known who he was, but the fact that they were able to bring him back the way that he was doing it, and the story and the it wasn't a mystery, but it was definitely suspenseful. It made it worthwhile on that situation.
Okay. Okay. Um, as far as I'll stick to MCU right now. So, and hear what you're saying, but the
Mhm.
same thing can be said for the MCU. Back in the growing up in the '90s and all this stuff like that, when you thought about Marvel, you thought about initially mutants, X-Men, Professor X, Magneto. That's who you initially thought about. Marvel, the MCU, they took these characters who although were in the comics or prominent in the comics, people who read comics knew them.
Mhm.
However, the public or just to the masses, Iron Man was another side character. Captain America was kind of a side character. Uh, those people were side characters.
Mhm.
The MCU took those people, put them at the forefront. Hasn't brought in a mutant, as of right now. Well, now we have so-called mutants or whatever. But they built this without using mutants. That alone says something about the stories they told. Now, granted, a lot of people don't like Iron Man. Iron Man 1 was great. Iron Man 2, I thought Iron Man 2 was really good. Iron Man 3, so the Thor movies, yeah, those most have been misses. However, Thor Ragnarok was really good. This newest one was the Captain America movies. I know a lot of people didn't like the first Captain America movie, but I actually enjoyed the first one. But after that, his Captain America movies alone were bangers. Winter Soldier, Civil War, like he had the bangers. And
Civil
just
War
those,
was just another Marvel movie. That's all. It was
I mean,
not. It was just another Avengers movie. It was they even said it was Avengers like 2.5.
It was, however, it still had the moniker of Captain America Civil War. So we're gonna include that in his wheelhouse. But they built the movies off those three characters alone, and they branched out. They, what I'm saying, we got from there, we've gotten everybody. We've gotten Falcon's getting his own, Falcon or Captain Falcon is getting his own movie. We've had Doctor Strange. Once again, another character that was kind of people who read comics knew who Doctor Strange was, but he wasn't a popular character as he is now. If you didn't read comics, they brought him out. They brought Doctor Strange and made him cool, as you can say. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you know what I'm saying? So the MCU took what could be considered, or what a lot of people consider maybe side characters or characters that weren't as fantastic as Spider-Man and the X-Men and all that, and made them the forefront, made them their stars, and it worked out.
I mean, they took the couple of them, like you said, you had like pretty much their big three that weren't Spider-Man and X-Men. You had Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. And if you look at even just their movies, they haven't had really strong movies from that point. But if you look at where you had like Batman, mind you, Superman had some weaker movies as far as that's concerned. But the Wonder Woman movie that they had, both the one in 2009 and like the one that was in, like, I think it was like 2012 or something like that, both had her as a strong protagonist. And then, like, even this point, I think is even better. One of the things that stood out really, really well, something that kind of changed like the landscape of everything, was like Flashpoint. So it had different versions of them, of those characters, which I think actually did a better job of displaying somebody with a different universe or what if situation better than I think what Spider-Man did.
So I know you said the DC animated universe is mostly made up of, the majority of the movies are top heavy and involve Superman and or Batman. That's 80% of their movies. You want to include the other, the 20%. Like I said, they did have a good Wonder Woman movie. They had a couple of good Justice League movies, but also that includes Superman and Batman. You had some even the Aquaman movie was Justice League Throne of Atlantis. Like it wasn't Aquaman by himself, it was Justice League Throne of Atlantis. Like, so it's like, granted, you have your other characters. However, Batman and Superman have been featured so heavily, it's like they can't move on from those. We can't get a Question movie. We can't get a Zatanna movie. And granted, she was featured in the Constantine movie, and I think Constantine got his stuff because of the show and the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie. That's a lot of people know him from. So, but you still, all we got is Batman, Superman. You look at the most recent movie that came out was Batman. Was a Batman movie. Was it? It was Batman and Superman movie. It was the Super Sons or something like that. Batman and Superman once again featured. We're not getting other characters outside of the Bat family and Superman. Like we may get a
Well,
one off of them, and if we do get a one off, the movie is just okay. Now you look at some of the MCU one offs that we have gotten that have been, like I said, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy. If you want to throw Spider-Man in there, you got the Black Panther. Ant-Man wasn't great, but Ant-Man was good. You got a strong character, strong female character in Captain Marvel. They're building off that. We're getting the Marvels with her, Monica Rambeau, Ms. Marvel. Also, you want to throw in, which I think was probably one of the better movies of last year. For me, it was better. The best MCU movie from last year was outside of Spider-Man was Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi came out of nowhere and was amazing. And
but I
go ahead.
think Shang-Chi was just good because of the choreography. Like the story was good. Not go front on that one. But like you talked about being really heavy on Batman and Superman. How many movies was Robert Downey Jr. in all the MCU? In every one of them. He was in Iron Man, he was in the Incredible Hulk, he was in all of Phase 1. That just said RDJ right there. All through that. And
He
then
was
if you look
recruiting.
and then if you look at that, then you look at how he was with Spider-Man as well. He was in that one. He
was
was
a
in there
mentor.
for yeah. So like rather than having other people and developing other people, like they didn't do that. Now I definitely understand they had a whole bunch of Batman heavy people and characters that went on there, but they had a lot of different stories and they touched on
With Batman.
yeah, they with
With,
the Bat family, but that's the thing that everybody sells on. You know what I mean? If
that's the point.
Marvel
That's,
had the rights to X-Men and Spider-Man, you don't think they'd be doing the same thing? They just mad because they don't have the rights to it.
maybe so, but they're still producing good quality stuff without them. And all we're getting is Batman, this son of Batman, Batman Bad Blood, Batman and the Ninja Turtles, Batman the Killing Joke, or if it's not Batman, it's in Superman. Superman is Superman versus the Fatal Five or whatever it's called. Like we're getting Batman and Superman, Scooby Doo and Batman. Like it's literally Batman, Superman, Batman, Superman, somebody different, Batman, Superman, Batman, Superman, somebody different. Now, granted, Robert Downey Jr. was in those first movies, but he was more so of like in the Spider-Man movies, he was a mentor. He was maybe in the movie a total of, you want to count maybe what, 10, 15 minutes? After that, it's Pete's story. They're telling everything about Peter and the stuff he's going through. He showed up at the very end of the Hulk movie. Like it wasn't like he was in there fighting or featured heavily in those movies. So
Well,
go ahead.
I'm gonna raise you. So like I know you talk. So out of the first Phase 1 movies, as far as that's concerned, there were 6 of them. He was in, I know for a fact, 5 of those. So then after that, when you look at Phase 2, I know you talked about Guardians of the Galaxy as well. I'm gonna see your Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm gonna also raise you the Suicide Squad because that one was the first one that I felt was like almost like a rated R shooting, killing, and made it possible for us to get the live action version, and also I think one of those rated R versions of a show from that point. So it's like they were opening doors to say, okay, there's a market for this, while you know Marvel was just over here. Marvel was over here.
But
Huh?
wasn't Batman in that though? Wasn't
Yeah.
Batman in the Suicide? Okay,
He does the same thing that RDJ does. He was in there
RDJ,
for all of 5 minutes,
they
and then
were
after that,
building a universe. They were building something. Everybody knows who Batman is. Like we have established that who Batman is, what he does, what he can do, how he is, and everything. We don't need Batman to show up in everything. We don't
need Iron Man to show up in everything. Iron Man was in absolutely everything.
He
And
was
then-
in. So looking at those first 6 movies, he wasn't in Captain America. He wasn't in the Captain America movie.
I thought he was in Captain America at the very, very end as a cameo. Maybe
No,
I may be wrong.
That was Samuel Jackson was in that one.
Okay.
Samuel Jackson was that. Now he was in Iron Man 2, and he showed up at the very end of Incredible Hulk.
Okay, so 4 out of 6.
And then we had Avengers, of course.
Still
Yeah, that's
2/3. That's two thirds.
once still there is nothing compared to the formula that the DC animated movie is doing. Batman, Superman, somebody different. Batman, Superman. It's like you get two Batman movies, two Superman movies, and then they'll throw somebody else out there. How many? Do you know how many Catwoman movies they had?
Like two.
How many? How good were those?
Oh, I'm not saying that they were all good, but like if we want to talk about bad movies, we could talk about The Dark World. We can talk about
we can talk about it.
we can talk
It
about
was
Thor's #1. We can talk about
those
all
are
of these.
those are documented. Those are well documented. Those are not great movies.
Well, hold on. I want to give some other people some chances to talk because there's now 2 and 2. So sir of the 2020 podcast LLC, please say the LLC. What's up, sir?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So, what are your thoughts so far?
I think you both are hitting very good points. I do agree that they did rely on the MCU did rely on the mainstay of Robert Downey Jr. akin to how Batman was like everywhere else, because just like Robert Downey Jr. was an agent of SHIELD at the time where he was recruiting, Batman had the files for the Justice League that he sent out via email, if you remember. So there was some collusion there, and Batman wasn't everything. I definitely can say that Robert Downey Jr. was in more of the media than Batman was in the DCU. But in all fairness, there was less media in the DC universe.
I gotta
for
pause
Batman.
my counterpart only because the argument is not for DCU, it's for the animated universe. So,
so we're speaking about the animated portion.
Yeah, he's what the argument is the sensei is trying to make the argument that DC's animated universe is better than the MCU. So when you're talking about the files and how much Batman shows up and everything, we're not talking Batman in the DCU. We're talking Batman in the animated universe. So he's comparing how much Batman's story overarcs and overlaps into everything, and how much him and Superman have to be a part of a storyline versus how much Iron Man is a part of the MCU storyline. So that's
if we're talking that, then Batman definitely got Robert Downey Jr. beat. Batman was in every Teen Titans, every goddamn.
Yep.
Batman was in every fucking thing, man. Hell, I was just looking at some of the what they call it, like the rehashing or like the shortened versions of Titans, because I just saw the season 4 trailer and I was like, damn, I really need to get back on it. And I didn't even realize the goddamn Batman was finally debuted on there. I'm like, damn, they even got
the
Batman
dude from
on
Game of Thrones. It was the dude from Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, damn, y'all really can't draw from the well anymore.
Well, look, here's the thing. I'm not saying, like, I think the group of Bruce Timm who did originally do like the Batman the animated series, I think he was made to make like the Batman shows, but then after that, like, so that was his main character, but he brought everybody else in as far as that's concerned. And so he definitely has that. But if you look at even how if you the people that are known in the DC comics versus people that are known in Marvel, they have more people and they're more prevalently known. So they have to bring somebody in. So it's just kind of like with wrestling, you have to bring somebody in to put them over. And so that's why they always have Batman in that situation.
But you don't think anybody else has any other weight besides Batman? I feel like DC may have, and this is gonna sound fucked up, but I'm just gonna tell the truth. I feel like DC was trying to make it the lowest common denominator, so everybody could easily recognize. You know what I'm saying? Oh, if Batman is involved with this person, they got to be legit. But I really feel like they could have done some other interesting people.
I would say even in kind of just touching on that point, even with the Justice League Dark movie or whatever, it featured, or featured kind of Constantine. However, Batman was still there,
right?
And
Yeah, I could I can definitely concede that point. They're Batman heavy all day. But I also have to put out there that they didn't have the same kind of money to back the animated movies as much. So they got to give you something so that you can be able to buy these things. So
I'm
it's
gonna
it's not.
deny that motion.
How are you going to deny that motion?
I'm gonna
On what
deny
term?
that motion because while you're correct, they may not have had necessarily the budget to say, let's go
Mhm,
CGI it or something like that. They definitely
mhm.
could have made the story itself work without having to include Batman. So I'm not giving you that. Including Batman is not necessarily a budgeting decision. That was a money bringing in decision. I can't let that argument slide. You're gonna have to try another one, counselor.
All right.
What's up, Ricardo? It's about the actual DC animated universe, the movies,
Yeah.
not the
So what
cartoons.
I'm saying is they're doing this for marketing. So just like they have all the cameos of Robert Downey Jr. in there as Iron Man, because they were low key trying to make Iron Man into what Batman was. So they were following that same kind of logic as far as that's concerned, to have a centralized character. And so Batman was that centralized character because like you don't like Superman, KB. So therefore Superman has had issues being put over as far as that's concerned. So they have
I
to
don't
do
really like
Batman.
Batman either.
Yeah, but you hate Superman though.
That's true. Like I like Batman's villains more than I like Batman, but I
Mhm.
do hate Superman.
But then you also have to look at the fact that, like, as far as Batman, Batman has the most interesting stories in DC as well. So then after that, it's a little bit different, and I think in
Let me say that I don't think he has the most interesting stories.
well the
Now,
most well known in
okay,
the DC part as far as that's
More
concerned.
than Superman?
Yeah, like the only thing that Superman has is he died, and they've done that twice. They've made 3 movies out of that in the last 20 years,
So
15 years
so you
actually.
so you well, I thought you were making the point that Batman has the most well-known story. Like, are you saying overall?
Yeah, like as far as like
You
say
can't
for instance,
include Superman dying in movies unless he died in animated movies.
yeah,
If
I
you're
mean
talking,
that's
he
there's like
yes.
like main film, you can't use that
if you
argument.
if you're using like say for instance if you're looking at the comic book versions of like their storylines, like if you look at Batman, that he has Nightfall, he has the fact that he has a son now because like they just now gave Superman a son. He
Yeah,
had
they
different
did.
wards and things like that. So like a lot of stuff, Superman wasn't as popular as far as like he wasn't as relatable. That'll be the best word for it. He wasn't as
Ah,
relatable,
okay, okay.
and he didn't have like his storylines. There's more Batman storylines, Batman driven storylines that are well known versus what Superman has.
And I see what you're saying. And don't, like I said, even though I'm defending it, even though I'm defending the MCU being better, however, I see what you're saying, and I agree. Like like the Superman stories they had, they were just some of them were just like they just had to do something to put Superman out there.
Mhm,
It's hard because Superman is Superman. Like, so you
mhm,
got to come up with something that could definitely. I mean, Richardo but you got to come up with, I guess, a villain to actually be able to do something to that make Superman not look weak, but like vulnerable or whatever the case
mhm,
may be. So, and it's kind of hard because you get certain, you only got certain villains. Now you can tell Lex Luthor's been featured heavily, but it's like he sometimes he's okay, sometimes he's a protagonist, sometimes he's just in the background or whatever. I mean, not protagonist, but antagonist. Sometimes he's just in the background, he's just there, or he's mayor, or he's the president, or some crazy stuff like that. It's
mhm,
like, but you got certain villains like Brainiac maybe pop up, something like that. So, but it's hard to tell. Make Superman more relatable or make him relatable and it's easier for Batman. However, there are other characters in the DC universe that they can easily use to make him more relatable. We still have not got a Static movie. Now, granted, we just recently got a John Stewart Green Lantern. They did a John Stewart Green
mhm.
Lantern movie, which was okay. However, They've been sitting on Static. Static had a show. You could have been put out a Static movie. Like that should have been one of the first things, not one of the first things, but one of the things you guys, hey, let's put out a Static Shock movie or a Static movie, whatever. Like you could have easily done that. That's something that people
Well,
love the show. Oh, go ahead.
so
Go ahead.
I'm gonna disagree with you because not because they're looking at it as like they're not making these movies for artistic purposes or just to make a statement from that point. So like
Oh, they did.
yeah, so I had like they had to see the success of Black Panther to be able to then do something like what they would do from there, and that's honestly probably why they had Static in and what was it, Young Justice, as much as they did. Now, Ricardo, when I talk about relatable, like Superman can get punched. It's really hard for him to get any kind of sympathy when like nothing hurts you. You know what I mean? Like magic and then rocks that come from your home planet are about the only thing that hurts you. So
So
it makes it
basically, it's
yeah.
either
So
Black Adam or
yeah. So
Kryptonite.
yeah, so it makes it difficult to be able to say that. Now, I'm not talking about personality wise. Now I think that's another reason KB doesn't like him because he's kind of bland when it comes to that. But in the same instance, he was kind of the prototype for all superheroes on what they should be or what they wanted people to be as far as that in that time period. But
My issue with him stems strictly from the fact that he really doesn't have, I think, weaknesses in the way that most superheroes do because they always go back and retcon his weaknesses. Like y'all really can't y'all can't make this man valuable for real. And I don't like that. I don't like for my superheroes to be essentially flawless, which is why I was okay with him with the Injustice storyline. He went dark. He went real dark. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I like this version, I think. But the other ones I'm not really feeling because again, you are like squeaky clean and stupid. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's like in order to hurt Superman, if you don't got kryptonite or if you can't use magic, you got to go hurt Lois Lane. You know what I'm saying, or somebody close to him in order to get him, get to him. But it's still
and I get what you're saying about the character development and introducing new characters from that point. Like that's definitely something that they still need to work on. But I think as far as the value of the stories that are told with the DC animated universe, the animation and the choreography that goes into it, because like if you look at certain things where even for example the death of Superman, where Superman was getting pieced up by Doomsday, or if you look at certain things with Batman, son of or Robin, son of Batman, where he had gotten pieced up by the Court of Owls, things like that that made it a little bit more interesting, I think, better than what it was from there. Yeah, and so Ricardo said it right. He's like Superman was just over OP.
No, what he's saying is that my argument that he's too OP is overblown because of how they've introduced people. But here's the thing, Ricardo. It took them a minute to get to that point where they were actually introducing consistent challenges for him. And it was because people kept complaining about how OP he was. Like every time there was a character that could be him, like take that kryptonite thing for instance. That was legit for a minute, besides magic, his only weakness. And that was the one that they kept drilling into us was his weakness, right? And then all of a sudden they decided to run a storyline in which he was never actually weak to kryptonite, but mentally he thought he was supposed to be. So that's how they got rid of that. And they really tried to float that, and people really ate that up for a minute because some fans are just stupid. But it wasn't until people really started complaining about that they put it back. And that's my issue, is that a lot of times writers get with some of these characters and it's like, nah, we're going to take away all of these things that could make you enjoyable just because we don't know what else to do with you. I'm not saying that he isn't good for some people now. I'm saying that for me, they took too long to get to that point, and I'm over him.
So let me just say this, kind of just back to the topic of what I was saying about introducing more characters. And so on the MCU, they've introduced or tried introducing more characters. You got, and like I said, a lot of people, not a lot of people, is they haven't been the best at getting them established or getting them. So like, you got the Eternals, like I said, Shang-Chi was one, Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're trying to Captain Marvel. They're trying their best to introduce these characters or introduce these other characters or whatever to get, because they're basically Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Thor's gonna kind of be around, I guess, whatever. I don't know how much longer, but Thor's gonna kind of be around. But it's like they're trying to introduce these other characters and build stories with them. The DC animated universe, while they are, I'm not sure how much these movies cost to make, but I'm pretty sure they're not as much as these live action movies that Marvel is doing. So I would need for them to take more chances to introduce those characters. I mentioned Static. Like, you got so many good characters in the DC universe that you can use. Like I mentioned, the Question. You can come with a murder mystery movie, something along those lines. You got him, Blue Beetle. I understand they've done Teen Titan stuff, which is cool. I've enjoyed those, but like, you have so many other characters in the Booster Gold, like so many other characters that they could use and feature in movies outside of Batman and Superman. They don't necessarily have to be in every movie. Like, if you want to team up the Question, and because they teamed up on like the Justice League Unlimited, like the Question, the Cowboy Guy, and someone, like, throw them on a movie. Find stories and utilize these other characters that you guys have, and the fact that I don't know if you don't want to take a chance. They don't want to take a chance on that, or whatever the case may be. But like, bruh, don't grant it. Like I said, I don't know exactly how much these movies cost to make, but I know they're not. The budget is not as big as it is for those live action movies. Take a chance, put these characters out there. Like, granted, we need more diversity. Like I said, we did get a John Stewart Green Lantern movie, but like I said, where's the Static movie? And I said, you said they was waiting on this
the climate, man. Yeah,
of Black Panther. Black Panther was in
always,
2018. It's 2018.
DC is always a dollar is a day late and a dollar short. I'm not gonna say like, oh, that, but when it comes to the quality of those, like, I enjoy the animated movies more than sometimes the kind of formula driven MCU movies. So that's what I'm saying from there. Like, I think there's more twists and turns, even though they're using the same characters. I think there's more twists and turns that you get with the MCU than what you do from that.
And that may be true, but the MCU is on a bigger scale, and those animated movies that we're getting from DC, these are basically streaming, coming straight to DVDs, straight to whatever the case may be. They're not getting released in the movie theater. So when they make those movies, like, when they're, now granted, I'm not defending them doing this. I'm just saying, as a fact of, they make those movies and they put some of those things in there to get put butts in seats. You know what I'm saying? To try to get those people to come, because we got to release this movie in the theater or whatever the case may be. And they have the budget, they have to make some money back on it or whatever the case may be. But there still goes, like, take some more chances on the DC side as far as characters outside of Batman and Superman. You don't lead them where put them to the side for a minute. Let's leave the matter of fact, put the whole Bat family to the side for a minute. Like, stop giving me Robin, Nightwing, Jason Todd. Put them to the side. We know we got the Bat family. We've seen the Bat family movie. We've seen all of them show up and help Batman or whatever the case may be. Put them to the side. Let's put Superman and his Superman family to the side. We don't need Steel. We don't need Superboy. None of that. Let's focus on some other characters in the DC universe.
But I still think, like, I know you had mentioned putting butts in seats, and then after that, like, that's what they have a lower margin as far as that's concerned, because like you said, there's a lot that goes into that machine that's the MCU. But like, when it comes to, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, unless like casual fans don't know about the DC animated movies, they're not aware of what has to happen. So like, if it wasn't for like I didn't know. Like, did you know that? I think the Superman and Batman Super Sons movie, like, is that out now? Like, you know what I mean? You don't get a whole lot of
Yeah, it's out.
oh,
It's out.
see, so
Yeah.
so like you don't. There's not a whole lot of publicity that goes into it. So like, and I don't think the I don't think the DC animated movies are made for casual fans most of the time. Like, but they cater to them because they just want people to have just like the Batman and Superman kind of deal. And I agree they definitely need to grow from that. But I think there's more enjoyable when than the other ones.
They get. I mean, you have some that are more, I guess, aimed at, I guess, more casual fans. You know, you got your major ones, or I guess aimed. Cause see, a lot of some they with the DC animated universe, they have, but they also put out movies more so. They also put out kid movies or
Mhm.
garner aimed at kids. Like you got the Teen Titans Go movies, the DC superhero girls. Teen Titans Go to the
Mhm.
movies. Teen Titans versus the what they had Batman and Scooby Doo, Batman
Mhm.
and the Teenage Mutant Turtles. Like you know they put out movies that are, I guess, you got movies for kind of everybody, you know, for the older crowd, and you got movies for that or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. But it is like you said. I don't know if they don't want to feature them or they don't know how to advertise them. This is DC we talking about, so it's
Yeah,
like
you
yeah
you got to
they
look at the bad part of
yeah.
how they run stuff. But like I just like my point in saying that I think the DC animated I just think the quality is better there. And I think we got more diversity. Like I think that you have darker movies before it was cool to have the darker movies. I think it was like I think I like more of the choreography that goes on and also the art style. So that's why I was saying that it was better because like even when they had like what was it in Shazam, and Superman that came out in 2010, it was something that was new that did deal with magic that wasn't a popular character. And then I think they grew off of that, but I think bad management sometimes kills those good ideas as far as that's concerned.
And I get that, but as far as you saying this, like you can do so much more as far as you mentioned choreography, stuff like that. You can do all that more. You can get away with more of that in those animated movies than you can in these live action movies. Too much, like you can have you can have good choreography and some of the stuff, but you start adding too much. If you start putting in too much CGI stuff like that, it's gonna mess up the movie. Like a lot of that, you can do more in those movies, in those animated movies, but
No, because like Infinity War and Endgame was damn near all CGI. Like none of that.
I
Like
mean,
all
you
of
got
that was
the people, like the people
you had their
were
faces. You had their faces from here, and then everything else was dots
those was they still had they still had parts where they were actually in those suits doing those moves or in
from
the
like right here, like right above the nipple, right
it's
below the nipple.
it's pictures out there of them in costume, full costume, where they're actually filming those spots.
You mean
Now,
like
Grant,
Captain America and them?
Now, I will step in as a member of the jury just because I see what you're both saying, but in terms of practicality, in terms of being able to perform more, I guess, outlandish stunts, I agree that it would be way easier to draw it versus having an actor having to blend CGI into the
Hmm.
practical effects of someone in a suit. So I'm going to agree with Husky on that one. Whereas
So
it's easier to draw it versus having live action and CGI blending.
yeah, I'm going to agree with Husky on that one as well.
But like, so what I was like, say for instance, if you look at the Winter Soldier and the hand to hand combat in that one was I think some of the best that they had, short of like Shang-Chi, because Shang-Chi was one that had a lot of that as well. But like I think I think they I think MCU relies too heavily on doing everything else. And now I'm not saying that I want, RDJ jumping off 10-story buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tom Cruise
yeah,
just broke his ankle doing
yeah, yeah. I'm not.
doing
I'm
stuff
not.
like
I'm
that.
not. Tom Cruise is on some other shit, by the way. Uh, he finished the scene too, bro. He broke his
He
ankle,
did. He
and then
did.
he hobbled his ass off,
He
and he was like, "I
did.
broke it. I broke it." So yeah, I'm not saying that I don't want Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise would be crazy. Hey, space.
So space.
It's I mean it's going. It's going. We've been at it for about 45 minutes. But yeah, I just think that if you say, like, say for instance, a movie with the MCU, there's one that is as good or better than than what you have. So, like, say for instance, if you were to give me like Endgame, I would say that like the action scenes and even the come together scenes of Apocalypse War is better than that.
Mm, I'm saving something for my closing statement, so I'm just gonna leave that and we'll move on. But I mean, I'm gonna leave I'm gonna put what I'm gonna say on the back on the side right now. But but I mean, if you feel that way, you can. Yeah. I don't agree with that. I don't. I mean, I don't agree with that. Like, it's. I'm trying to think of the because I don't want to say what I have planned to say right now. But I mean,
Just leave it at what you said. Just leave it at what you said. That
there
you
you go.
simply don't agree.
Yeah, I don't agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Carter said the animation is the only way we can ever hope of seeing less popular DC heroes.
Yep, that's what Marcus was saying.
Yeah. I mean, but they were built wrong from the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, like they were built wrong from the beginning because they kept taking from, like, they would start something off with other mediums, and then after that, then they would try to take it there, and then they would just shoot themselves in the foot. So I'm not saying that that's, what I mean, they definitely have their issues. I'm just saying the quality. And I'm not in like they've definitely made more money off of these, but when you got Disney backing you, of course.
So let me say this. So I get that Disney is backing or is backing them. DC has, if you want to, we're gonna include Wonder Woman. DC has the 3 most popular superheroes out there. Now, granted, Marvel has Spider-Man. That's up there. I think those Spider-Man, he's in the top 5, but most recognizable, I should say this: Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, and maybe we could throw, find another person. But Superman and Batman are 2 of the most recognizable superheroes on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Across this entire earth. There is no way that you shouldn't have the money to fund not just your animated universe, your actual live action universe, and be successful with it. So that don't come with the argument of with Marvel, with Disney backing them. True enough, the mouse is backing them, but DC could have easily been making more money or making just as much had they did right. And that's the thing about like those animated movies, they're good. And some of them are really great. I mean, really great. Like Under the Red Hood is one of my favorites. The Flash Paradox or whatever it is, where he go, basically the whole that one. Those are 2 of my favorites. I love those movies. But some of the stuff you get in MCU, we will never get from them. The way
Like what?
the way people showed up and showed out for Black Panther alone. Our people, the way we showed up and showed out for Black Panther, showed up in the movie. People showed up in the movie theater in like African attire. They coming to America attire, like stuff. Like people showed up and showed out to make that movie what it was. Not make it what it was, but like to show support for how big that movie was for us. Like to get a character on screen that looks like you that's that's a king that has his own nation, that's one of the smartest individuals in the MCU, that alone trumps some of the stuff that DC animated movie universe is doing, because you don't get that from that. They don't, like you said, they don't, I don't know why, but they don't advertise those movies for some reason. They don't put them out there. They don't promote those movies like they should. And some of those movies are really great, but the promotion, they're not promoting them. And that kind of like it's kind of like they're saying, "Hey, I got this for you, but I don't know if y'all gonna like it, so I'm just gonna ease it on out there. Go sit it right here. Just go sit there right there." They're not coming out proud and say, "Hey, we got this. I got this out here for you. Hey, go check it out. Hey, I got this new Batman movie, Batman and Superman Son movie out here. Go check it out. I got this movie out right now. Go see it. The new Green Lantern, John Stewart story. Go check it out, man. Go look at it." They ain't doing none of that.
So I'm going to say this. First of all, don't take my black card. But if you look at the Black Panther movie, that storyline was basic as fuck. So if now, mind you, the culture was the part that drove the story. That's why we showed up, because there was cultural significance to it. But if you look at it, they followed the same storyline. They followed the same storyline as Iron Man, where somebody got betrayed. Then all of a sudden they came back with it's like Scott Pilgrim versus the Universe, the nega version of them. There was the same thing from that point. Like it wasn't a convincing, it wasn't a really good storyline compared to what it was, but the cultural significance is what drove it from that point. But I think that there are characters that are really brought to light. Like if you look at certain things, like I'm gonna say, even when it comes to storylines like the Long Halloween, which I don't think would ever, MCU wouldn't touch anything like that. I don't think you would have anything about just having certain characters like, that showed up, that were in the Suicide Squad, where, because nobody would have known about King Shark, or well, they probably would have. Well, Deadshot came out in the movie afterwards, but different characters, Captain Boomerang, those kinds of things, like you wouldn't get to see those kind of characters. And although they haven't had the spotlight that they deserve, they have had more than some others, because all the characters are they're at least trying to do certain things with them. I'm not saying that they're doing the best at it, but like we've seen, what is his name? The purple guy that takes the thing. He was in one of the Superman movies, and so I get it. But
That takes
Parasite,
Parasite, yeah. So let me just to kind of jump in. I know you said you don't think they would do something like that where they would feature those characters. The movie from 2014, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, nobody knew who the hell these people were. Nobody. And Marvel put them out there, got a story behind it, and made people, oh, I like them. I like Star-Lord. I like certain, but made people care about these characters. Gamora, Star-Lord, Drax. Like, so that you can't say that they didn't feature, or they didn't put out different people, or whatever the case may be. Like, because in the comics, or the original Guardians of the Galaxy were not the crew that we see in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, so I'm just, so for them to put some or take a chance on that, and that's one of their, and that during that time, that was one of the, I think that was phase 2, wasn't it? So that was phase 2. And that was one of the better movies in phase 2. Probably the best movie in phase 2. Well, no. Winter Soldier was in phase 2. So it was one of the better movies in phase 2. So, and taking a chance on that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Marvel has done it. They took a chance and put other people out there outside. And once again, there was no Iron Man winning that movie. Captain America wasn't in that movie. Thor wasn't in that movie. Like you got a bunch of, like you said, the Suicide Squad. They got a bunch of characters. Now it wasn't a suicide, wasn't necessarily a suicide mission somewhere. However, but they got a bunch of characters that no one knew or cared about. Put them out there. Rocket Raccoon, Groot, like people love those characters now. Those they are a staple in the MCU now because of that movie and Marvel taking the chance on these characters.
Yeah, I mean they've had stuff where they've definitely taken chances on certain things from there, and that's one of their more original ones as far as that's concerned with a ragtag group of people. But earlier in that year, DC actually made the or had that one come out first, the Suicide Squad. So it came out the same year as that. So I don't know, you like, I'm not gonna do that where it's like, well, this came out in June and this came out in August. No, because like they still came out around the same time. So but they were still doing certain things like that, and I get that. But they kind of mirror each other when it comes to those things, and that's one of the points that I wanted to try to make is that like at the same time that they were like, say for instance, MCU is doing it, the DC animated universe is doing the same thing.
But don't nobody know about it.
Just because they don't know about it doesn't mean that it's not good though. So I'm talking quality.
I once again, I say this from the beginning. I went in my opening statement. The DC animated movie universe, I say it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But however, it is not better than what Marvel and the MCU has done or is doing. It doesn't. I ain't gonna say it doesn't. It doesn't come close. It doesn't come close. Like, granted, it's the DC animated movie universe is top tier, but the MCU for me is on another level than what they're doing.
I think you're saying the movies are great. They're just not greater than MCU sum of its parts, basically. Like the movies can be hit or miss as far as MCU goes. And true, like the animated shorts, like the short films that they've been putting out at DC have been spectacular. Damn near all of them have been bangers. But it's the fact that MCUs are so far ahead planned together and woven together that they create smaller nuggets in each one that all connect to each other. So I get what you're saying, Husky. I get what you're saying.
So hold on. So you're saying that the quality of the DC animated movies are better, but because they're woven together as a whole, the MCU is better to you.
Correct. I'm essentially saying, you know how they used to tell us, like, you're only as strong as the weakest link in your chain?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because the MCU has a stronger chain, that's why they're beating these individually great movies. Because the MCUs, they may be moderate to above average films, but all of them are tied together and are related to each other, and you get to experience these moments in relation to the other characters. Majority of the DC animated films, one or two may be joined together, depending on who was directing. They're not overarchingly having a serious arc majority of the time. So I can see.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying on that one. So you're saying that, so I'm going to use a shirt as an example. So like the shirt is of better quality altogether, versus like, okay, like say for instance, they're using a better kind of cotton blend. And now that cotton blend, even though the shirt may be fire, the shirt that I have may be fire, but the cotton blend on top of maybe an okay design, it makes it a little bit better for you.
It's like the overall average works better.
Basically, your shirt may look better, but when I wash it, I may get a hole or two. But mine may not look as good. However, when I wash it, I ain't gonna have no holes in it.
Huh.
I know somewhere you can get some dope shirts.
Is that what you God damn it. segue. You saw where
Let's
I was
go.
going with it. You saw the alley
Let's
oop.
go.
You saw the alley oop
Let's
coming,
go.
didn't you? Did you? You saw the alley oop coming. So
Hey,
yeah, with that, you can be able to do 20% off with the BS at theblerdsyndicate.com. Shop there for your latest merch.
go get it.
You didn't think it was coming. It was coming already.
I
You didn't
knew
even
it was. It was a setup. I saw
like,
it.
so I was like, wait a second. So there's a time to go ahead and
As soon
so
as he said shirt, I was ready.
I
I,
already knew where he was going.
I was ready for it. I just I understand that. My big gripe with the MCU and their movies are the fact that I don't feel like they have any originality in their movies, anything that like really sets them apart. Now I get the fact that like they're woven together and they're really really good because they're more than the sum of their parts, and I get that. But I'm just tired of getting shitty parts. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's the thing where not shitty parts. Like they're so if say for instance, the to me the DC animated movies are like a B plus or so, then like I feel like some of the there are some good like movies that are like really the foundation for it, but then they throw in those other movies that are like C's, and then that's where you have a whole lot of those movies from that point because um I just think that they don't have to do as much because they put so much into promotion and because they make it put it in a nice box that they're like, hey, you're gonna take it no matter what, so why should we have to really worry about it?
And I will say this: it's becoming. That may have been true maybe a few years ago, but now people are holding Marvel MCU to a higher standard. They want the better movies. They want the quality. They want the quality story. They want a good story. They want the better movies. They want Marvel to do as such. Like we you can come with the action and all the other stuff, but you also need to make sure you're telling a good story, whatever that. I understand that gets we're getting cohesion. It's going to tell something. It's going to have some type of something to do with something else that may have happened, but they also want a good story or some good character development in that movie or whatever the case may be. And I think, granted, we have in the past few years or the past year, like some of the movies they put out, like I'm gonna say it. I love Black Widow, but the Black Widow movie, had it came out before Endgame, would have been fine. That's my only problem. I'll stand on this till I die. Like had they put out Black Widow before before Captain Marvel or right after Captain Marvel, before
The snap.
Avengers Endgame, yeah,
Yeah.
before Avengers Endgame, I would have been okay with it. It would have been a great movie. It would have been better. It would have been a good movie. It would have been solid. Like people would have been people would not have been down on it as much as they were because of when it came out. Like this movie had it held no weight. It held no weight. You knew she wasn't gonna anything that happened in this movie was just Now, granted, it did introduce us to her sister, and the Red Guardian. We get know they're gonna come back up in Thunderbolts, but it held no. I mean, it held no weight. I know a lot of people didn't like Eternals. I enjoyed Eternals, and just from the knowledge of them, some of my knowledge from them in the comic books. But I didn't enjoy the Eternals. But but they're holding a lot of people are holding Marvel or in general to a higher standard. They're gonna make sure, and I think we're going forward with the movies we're gonna be getting, as just in Marvel in general, they're gonna come with some stuff, and I think Black Panther is gonna kick that off. I know Black Panther's gonna kick that off. Like that's Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think is gonna kick that off because we get with them now, and the fact that we have the antagonist, maybe one of the main antagonists in this saga is Kang, and a black man at that. Like that's just for the culture, but I'm just saying, like the fact that we're getting that, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be
Ooh.
I don't know about that.
I actually agree with that, Rick. I agree with that.
I'm thinking about phase 1 and phase 1 and phase 2, you can
I'll go through
can
them.
see that.
Iron
You can
Man,
say that.
Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America,
You
and
say
the
all the
Avengers.
Thors. You say all the Thors.
Iron Man 3,
Yeah, Iron
Thor,
Man
Dark
3,
World,
Incredible Hulk.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man.
Yeah, I
So
stand by it. I agree with Prada.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. I had to think about phase the movies from phase 1 and phase 2, but yeah, we can roll with that. But and like I said, Black Widow would have been a lot better had the timing been better, as far as them putting the movie before Endgame would have been just fine. But yeah, I'm ready whenever you are, sir.
I'll let you go with your closing arguments first, since I went with my opening argument first.
Okay. So and like I said from the beginning, the DC animated movie universe is amazing. But like the stuff that we got from the MCU, from the scenes, some of the scenes.
Says he doesn't like Iron Man 1.
Hey, we can discuss that sometime. But the stuff that we got from the MCU, some of those scenes, some of those way they made you feel, the way these movies did for what these movies did for a lot of people. Like I said, it's unmatched. And the MCU, like I said, the sincerest form of flattery, being copied or mimicked is one of the sincerest form of flattery. Not everyone, but a lot of people have tried to do what the MCU has done. DC has tried and failed. Universal tried to do a monster universe. They put out the Mummy and was like, you know what? This ain't for us, and walked away. Like the MCU is gonna be something that people are gonna put, that's gonna be in the history books because of how popular and what it has done, and how it has brought like these characters to the forefront. Like, and granted, like I said, DC animated movie universe is great and all, but it hasn't done that. It's not gonna, and granted, they may be mentioned in movie history just because it was there, but it's not gonna be mentioned as how the MCU is. Like the MCU has changed film and like over the past what 20 years now, like, or close to 20 years almost. Like they have changed how stuff is done, like just, and they've been tried to be copied so many times and it can't be duplicated. People have tried and like failed several times. So my last thing for my closing argument, and what I was saying before, or what I wanted to mention when you before, was you mentioned Endgame and how, like even though some of the scenes in the Justice League movie, or from the animated movie, were better. For me, being in that theater in Endgame, and granted, the Endgame whole entirety as a movie wasn't the best, but that last hour and a half was amazing. And when we got the setup for the last scene, or the setup for the last, for the ensemble, for Cap setting up everything, or the setup for when Anya, you hear the static and you hear Sam say on your left, all those portals start opening up, and let's rewind just a little bit. Even before that, when Thor is fighting Thanos and he's about to get the axe to the head, and all you see is Mjolnir come fly across and knock him in the face, and you turn around, everybody, Cap's got Mjolnir, and he comes back, picks up Mjolnir. That right there like the emotion you feel, that excitement. You can't get that from the DCU animated movie universe. And then, like I said, we go to Sam on your left, all the portals start opening up, everybody's showing up, everybody's coming back from out of nowhere. And you hit you with the classic line of Avengers Assemble, the whole theater cheers. You cannot get that from what DC, the animated movie universe, has done. You would never get that. You would never have that feeling, that excitement. You can't get that. MCU has done that time and time again. And I'm pretty sure they're going to continue to do that. And on that, I rest my case.
Okay. So what I looked at, and I know you started with Endgame. It was 3 hours, and I checked this out. The battle really started right around like 42 minutes left in the movie. So it was a lot of fluff for something that couldn't do there. And there was a lot of great points. You mentioned, Cap getting Mjolnir. You mentioned what was it? You mentioned, Avengers Assemble. Now the one thing that I really appreciated about Apocalypse War, there were real sacrifices that were made. Like Etrigan died. Like, when you looked at some of the other characters that had been in the war, you saw that the heroes weren't all making it back home. Nobody got snapped back and magically, and only one person died. No, real people died. You talk about Superman getting pieced up. You talk about what was it? Trigon coming through. Trigon, who had been in a lot of different areas, where he had been in the Teen Titans and things like that, and he had been something where he had a final redemption with his daughter, where you see Lois Lane dying, and she was telling her her husband that she loved him. You saw that the Lazarus Pit didn't work for Nightwing. There was a lot more that was actually done, and yes, you didn't get to see it with hundreds of people cheering as far as that's concerned, but there was a small fire that grew when you got to see all these people growing and fighting, and knowing that, hey, they killed off all these other people. Shazam's not making it back home. He lost a leg. You know how bad it is for a 12-year-old to lose a leg? Do you, Marcus? Huh?
No,
It's
I can't say
horrible.
that I do.
It's horrible. He has to hobble now. You know what I mean? Well, he did have to hobble until the Paradoom demons, which were like super badass putty things, beat his ass and killed him. They killed Swamp Thing, bro. There was no happy ending at the end of this one. And it made it more real. It made it more giving in that situation where you're just like, man, there's so much more shit going on. And how are they going to come back? You had Flash getting old. You had Cyborg giving up his life. There's a lot of stuff. Now, I'm going to say this, and some people may, a lot of the stuff that connected all of this stuff were just end credits at the very end. If you think about it, most of those stories didn't connect up until the very end, until they had some kind of scene that made it so that, oh, well, this makes it connected because I'm going to do this. So if that's the one thing, the sum of all parts, it's cool. I get it, but I'd rather have a nice standalone movie that leaves me feeling fulfilled, rather than get a shitty movie and have to waste hundreds and hundreds of dollars to just get that final thing. Because I know for a fact that Sir and I damn near went to every MCU movie together, and for us to have to wait, what was it, 11 years to get that final pop, that satisfaction, and then it wasn't even the whole movie, and they made it seem like it was going to be the whole movie, but then it just essentially gave us a recap for damn near 2/3 of the movie. That's not what I want. I want something that leaves me fulfilled no matter what, and the DC animated universe does that for me. I rested.
Very good points, gentlemen. Very good points.
I had a couple of rebuttals, but it was closing arguments. But good job, man. Good job.
Well, you should have went second, good sir.
I mean, he went first in the beginning, so it was, it was only right for me to go first this time. So,
All right. Well, both of you made very good, valid points. I've agreed with both of you. I've disagreed with both of you, and I've enjoyed myself. Are we giving like a ruling or anything in here?
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
are. We are. All right. KB, I'm gonna let you go first.
Absolutely not. You're going first.
That's all right. Well, there we have it. Upon reviewing the evidence and the arguments spit today, I'm going to say that the DC animated universe does have a better cohesive story than the MCU when it comes to their singles. Quality does matter to me when it comes to those stories. Unfortunately, I feel like DC got that cohesion at the very end in with the Flashpoint arc where it culminated in the Apocalypse War. So I'm going to side with, and it's a very thin margin, I'm going to side with MCU winning this particular argument. They're better than DC.
All right.
I'm gonna side with the DC, which is honestly hurting my feelings because as a biased fan, it's MCU all the way. But
Right.
unbiased, the arguments that Wyatt makes are honestly very good. And that does have a lot to do with the fact that when it comes to how you can animate these scenes, I've always said that animated films, I think, have it easier because you can suspend disbelief when
Yeah.
it comes to an animated film.
Mhm.
Somebody getting their head chopped off in one swing, like that's not really possible. And when you see it in a live action film, it's like, it looks cool, but we all know that's not how that would play out. But in an animated thing, it's like, oh snap, his head is gone. And so I think that kind of lends to DC movies is being able to fully tell a comic story because you can do all of the things in a comic world without having to rely so heavily on CG and all of this. And with that, I like getting the individual stories. I do like that they're all very cut to the point. I don't have to watch 1,002 movies to get an overarching story. And yes, MCU movies can stand on their own, but the whole purpose is that they're all telling a bigger story. So Wyatt wins, and I hate it.
Well, we actually have a draw. So, what I want you guys to do, who are watching this now and or will watch this later, comment below. Who do you think has a better storyline? Who do you think? And there's different ways that you can be able to look at it. To let us know if you think Marcus won. Let us know if you think I had a better story or a better argument from that point. Just get back with us and let us know from there. But
Hold on, before you close it out,
yes.
because y'all were having the arguments, I had to wait on some things. So I do want Ricardo, you're 100% correct that the argument I use against Superman does not hold up in 2022 today. The difference is I basically have what's called taste aversion towards Superman. It left me with such a bad feeling that I cannot get on board with him now. So
Yeah.
yes, your point's valid there. I would say anybody coming into comics trying to use that argument, no. But for me personally, how long I've been in I can't do it, man. I can't get behind him. And also, yes, Spider-Man is more popular than Wonder Woman. However, his argument was that the top 5 spots, 3 of the top 5 are held by DC characters. So I wanted to clear those 2 up. It's Spider-Man and then Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then Cap. If you look up like the top 5 lists, those are generally the ones that shake out. Sometimes they move the order around a little bit, but consistently Spider-Man is number 1. Okay, you can close it out now. I'm sorry. I just wanted to hit those points.
But I also think, I'm not gonna keep going back and forth, but like I also think that Wonder Woman just got in there just because she did a really, really good job with that one. So I think that one.
She's always been up there. Like if
She
you,
has?
yeah, she's been
Yeah,
up there
Wonder
for a
Woman.
minute because
Even
you have to remember there's not a whole lot of popular female superhero characters. Like the
yeah,
pool is
like
very small.
they had a
So
Wonder Woman TV show back in the 70s. Linda Carter was
yeah,
one. Like
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's been around. Like she's out. Wonder Woman's been out there for a long time.
yeah.
A long
Since
time.
Trinity.
since her debut, she has consistently been top 10, and she's moved up in top 5. Like she's been there for a minute.
Yeah, I felt like well, maybe she just didn't get her respect, you know what I mean? Because for a while she was just like she wasn't given like
She
I think
wasn't
it
just getting movies. That's what
yeah.
she wasn't getting movies. Like you grant she was in the Holy Trinity, but she wasn't getting the movies that Superman and Batman were getting. Like
I'm gonna take it a
we would
step
get.
further, if I may interject.
Go
It
ahead.
isn't that she didn't get the movies; she never got an animated TV show. Think about it:
Mhm.
Superman, Batman. How many of those have we gotten? Wonder Woman never had one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and she's top 5 even without having that push. So
Right, like let that sink in, my boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
So
you
yeah,
imagine
yeah.
Wonder Woman and Nubia, a cartoon? Sign me up.
See,
Sign me up.
they go something else that DC could be doing. They ain't doing that. See. No,
Yeah, you got me right. I can't do it. And I'm still upset with what is it? Time Warner, whatever they are, Discovery now.
I don't know what the hell to call them.
we're not gonna talk about what's going
let's
on.
go ahead and
over
end
there.
this before we be here
So
another
yeah,
hour.
Because
we're not gonna do that one. So we are going to be like the Hulk. We're going to smash that follow button. I want you guys to do that. As a matter of fact, I want you guys to smash that follow button, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Actually, in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have a little giveaway. So just be prepared. We may be giving away some Black Panther tickets. I don't know. We may do something like that. So it may be something that you may want to tell a friend to tell a friend. So we're going to be like I'm like this new one. We're going to be like the Ninja Turtles, and we are going to get the shell out of here. So y'all be easy,
Yes.
and we'll holler at y'all later. All right. Peace.
peace.